The views expressed on this program are those of the commenters alone. They do not represent the views or opinions of Valley News Live, our parent company, or our advertisers.
Welcome back with me tonight live from Bismarck, the host of News and Views, Joel Heitkamp. Joel, thanks for joining me. Joel, you've done this song and dance before, being part of the session. I want to start with today. The Office of Management and Budget, Pam Sharp, the director, sat there with a Moody's Analytics expert, Joel. Just want you to know that, saying, hey, bad news coming up next session. There's going to be lost revenues, lower revenues. You've been around this. Let me ask you this. Is that an accurate assessment of the revenues, or is this a possible strategy so Republicans can more easily defend themselves, saying, we can't really give you all the tax breaks we want to give you? Your comments.
Well, Chris, you've never seen her get this right yet. That's just the truth. They have always undershot. It's incredibly popular to run for whatever election you're going to run for, saying, look at how well we did while we had all that money in the bank. Understand this. If you're a farmer and you've been looking for property tax relief, if you're a renter and you're sick of your rent going up, to pay for property tax, or if you're a homeowner in Fargo, the community you're sitting in right now, one of the biggest reasons that the state hasn't got that money out to the people that actually need it to reduce those property taxes is because we continue to undershoot what ends up coming in the form of revenue. We're going to sit here with a $6 billion fund in the bank. $6 billion. That isn't $6 million. In my day in the legislature, we were looking at an ending fund balance of $12 million. Million with an M. Now, here we sit again, and I would argue that the school that I went to never quite taught math the way that Pam Sharp has learned it.
So let me ask you this again, from a behind-the-scenes perspective, you serving as a state legislature, is this an accurate assessment? Is she coming out with real numbers, or is this an actual strategic move on behalf of the state directors and legislators to push their agenda more easily?
Well, the experience tends to make me believe that once again we're going to try to undershoot what revenues come in because they don't want it to go to work. Now, let me give you an example of a couple things, Chris, that really should hit your radar. Representative Porter cutting out all the money for daycare. Western North Dakota, one of the reasons we're short, and actually it ends up in some ways being a self-fulfilling prophecy because they don't want to allow daycares to start up in Western North Dakota or to get the same help that Representative Porter got when he started up his ambulance service. Yes, he received money to start up his ambulance service, or the type of help you needed as a business startup. So here we sit gutting the money for daycare, all in the name of, oh, gee, do we really have the money? When in fact the state is very, very flush with money. And if you're paying high property taxes, which many of us have, just remember this projection, and the next time they run for election and say, look at what a great job we did, remember how, in my personal opinion, they undershot again. You can hire any expert. I can hire an expert right now to tell you that this isn't a gap in my teeth. But you know what? It's a gap in my teeth.
Joel, I mean, I am shocked at what's going on in this session. You saw today they didn't even pass the freeze on tuition in higher ed. Then yesterday, there was the bill that hit the floor about, hey, let's have a 2-year moratorium on income taxes in North Dakota. You've got Nebraska opposing it. You've got Louisiana opposing it. Comes out of the Finance and Tax Committee with a 14-0 vote. Joel, help me understand what in the world is going on right now in this session.
Well, first off, the old dogs are ruling over the young dogs. That's what's happening most of all. Second off, never forget this. These were the same people who told you that they idolized Alaska and Sarah Palin. It wasn't that long ago, Chris. It wasn't that many years ago. They were telling you what our great governor Sarah Palin was. Look at the money they give back to the people of Alaska. And Joel, well, you know what? For you property tax owners, and what we found out, Chris, is this. Property values in ag land alone are going to go up over 40%, close to 50%. So what do you think that's going to mean? It's going to mean higher property taxes at a time that the state has the money to put them back in ag producers' hands, all because they got the forecast they were looking for.
Joel, you talked to Al Carlson a lot. He was on the show earlier saying, Chris, I'm going to go out there and make sure that we have no income taxes after this session. That was one of his talking points. He was nowhere to be heard on this situation with Scott Lauser's bill. Where is the leader, Al Carlson?
Well, I don't know. And I'm kind of disappointed that Al hasn't picked a bigger argument. The one thing you got to do is kind of keep your eye on the ball towards crossover. But, you know, this legislature, instead of taking on those tough issues that you're bringing up today that are pocketbook issues, has spent their time worrying about in vitro fertilization, has spent their time worrying about what happens in your personal private life, has spent their time making sure that front and center is Margaret City instead of the issues that matter.
Joel, don't forget those Sunday closings, too.
Oh, yeah. Heaven forbid the day of the Super Bowl that you could actually go to Buffalo Wild Wings at 10 o'clock rather than at noon, you know. Joel, I don't know what time you go to church, Chris, but many of the services I go to start at 8. And that's still none of their business.
Always great to have you with us. Stay close. Coming up, Senator Tim Mathers is going to be joining us. He's looking at making some changes and all the gas that we're flaring across the state of North Dakota. Good idea or bad idea? How do you feel about it? Check out our website, 630pov.com. Please join our conversation. We'll be right back.